I'm using a paddle bit. This is a 3/4 inch paddle bit. These anchor bolts are 5/8, and so what you can see is that I'll easily, the hole will be plenty big for these bolts. Now you don't want a drill bit that's really large, otherwise the mudsill will move around. Go an 1/8 inch over, at worst case a 1/4 inch over with your drill bit, and drill your holes. That way you can slide the mudsill on. You don't want to do it such that if you have a 5/8 bolt and use a 5/8 drill, you'll have a real rough time getting that mudsill on. So make it a little easy on yourself. Oversize your drill bit just a bit, and your mudsill should go on really nicely. I've moved the mudsill off the foundation because I don't want to drill down and hit the concrete, obviously, but it makes a convenient workbench here. And I'm just going to drill this hole right now. And I'll just continue drilling. Yeah. Drilled our 4 holes, and let's see how this mudsill fits on our bolts here, or if it does it all. Where are my bolts? There we go. All right, another trick that you'll need to know is sometimes the board may be warped a little bit, and it'll be tough to get it on. Start it at one end and just put the bolts on the mudsill on the bolts consecutively, and then move the board and catch the next bolts. Now we will attach the mudsill to the foundation, and what I'm going to use is these are called square washers. They're 3/16 square washers. They're a little heavier than your normal washer. Oftentimes now with the new mudsills and the pressure treated material that they have, you'll find that a lot of the material that you use for the mudsill has to be galvanized. The anchor bolts, the washers, and the nuts. This project was started before that code came in, so we're just continuing on with the material we have. But oftentimes now these days you have to use, everything is galvanized. Whatever touches the mudsill has to be galvanized. This is fairly simple. It's just a matter of sliding the washer down and tightening it up with a crescent wrench or an adjustable spanner wrench, whatever you want to call it. Now you see the mudsill kind of sink down. I just tighten them up just a little bit at first because I want to check across the back side of the mudsill here and make sure that I'm fairly straight on the foundation. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be in a tad, say an 1/8 or a 1/4, out an 1/8 or a 1/4, but that's about as much as you want. If you have a big bow in your mudsill, you're going to want to do something about it by either moving your mudsill in or perhaps just cutting your mudsill and straightening it out. So I'll just finish this up and we'll move on to our next mudsill. Another trick is if your mudsill is not in the correct place, what you can do is do what you did earlier. You can put your nut high on your bolt and tap your bolt. It won't move the mudsill a lot, but you might get 3/16 to a quarter out of it, and that might give you just enough to move your mudsill over. Once you've knocked the bolt over and got the mudsill where you want it, you just tighten it up and it will be fine. As we sit, it lines up very well right now, and this is a nice straight piece of mudsill, so I think we're good to go on the next piece. And we can tighten these bolts up. When you're tightening these nuts, you'll feel the washer go into the mudsill just a little bit. You don't want to split the wood because you can, but you do want to make sure that you get a nice tight fit. So put a little elbow grease into it. You'll feel some resistance. Keep tightening it until you see one of the corners of the washer dig into the wood. At that point, you can stop. It's nice and tight. All right, now we're ready to frame the floor joists.
Home Improvement Camp. Have at it.